Hey everyone, it's Sally Esplin again on Magic Mic Moments. And today I'm super excited to be sitting down and having a chat with Kate Searle. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much for having me on Magic Mic.
I'm very excited. So you're in WA, aren't you?
Yes, yep, over in Perth. It's cold but sunny today, so that's good.
It's funny because I was networking a lot today and with North America, and they're all complaining about how hot it is.
Oh.
Complete extremes. So, and I'm sure it's warmer over there than it is here. Perth is a beautiful.
Yeah, it's sunny. It does get cold, but it's not as cold as definitely as you get in the East Coast.
Yeah, you're very blessed. All righty, so here's just a little intro about you. So Kate's worked as a geologist for almost two decades, so that's 20 years in Western Australia and Canada, and returned to uni to study law and completed her Juris Doctor in 2019, just pre-COVID. Becoming a mother sparked Kate's love of storytelling, and she has an innate passion for instilling children with a sense of personal empowerment, and has woven her love of gemstones and nature into her debut book, My Soul Treasure, to teach children about the incredible powers of their own soul. Wow. So welcome, Kate. I can't wait to hear about your journey and about how your book and how this is right up my alley.
Yes.
The kids.
Just to you before, I was thinking that. I think you're going to love it.
Wow, absolutely. So why don't you just share with us a little bit about your journey, about some of the things that you've experienced along the way, some of the challenges, and to where it's got you to today. It looks very interesting.
Thank you, Sally. Yeah, it's a bit of a different journey, but probably everyone that you meet and speak to, everyone has a different path to take. So I, as a child, always loved my rocks and minerals and gemstones, and it was a real passion of mine, and that just led me naturally into wanting to become a geologist, to spend time in nature and be outside. And I always, I had a fantastic career as a FIFO, exploration geologist in Perth, and then followed that to Canada and got to work in the beautiful mountains in British Columbia, exploring for gold as a young woman. So that was a fantastic and fascinating career, and I loved it and had an absolute ball. And
how long did you do that for?
I lived in Canada for 2 years.
Wow.
So I was in the mountains based in a beautiful town called Likely in BC, which was picturesque and very exciting in terms of the geology. And I got to spend some time in South America whilst I was based in Canada, and got to see some amazing minerals. And as a lot of the beautiful gemstones that we know of now come from Brazil, a lot of them come from there. There's just so many amazing samples. So as we were hiking in the Andes, for example, I have my backpack just passing my sister down samples and rocks to put in there and carry for me.
Amazing. I can see your amethyst at the back there. What's your favorite?
Oh, such a hard question. I think my favorite would have to be this one. It's called celestite.
Oh, yes.
You'd be familiar with it, but to me, that there's the density, the weight, the beautiful color, and the really healing, soothing, calming vibrations that I feel when I hold those just makes that my favorite.
Ooh, you're giving me goosebumps because you're talking my language, right? Crystals and stones and the energy stuff. It's just amazing. But then, so was that like in your early 20s when you
said? Pretty much through my 20s. And my husband's actually a geologist, so that shows you the extent of the passion for geology. And so my whole household, we've now had 2 little kids, and they love gemstones and jewels from the moment they were born too. So I definitely noticed when I became a mother and my children started going to school, they'd be bringing home little rocks in their pockets. And I thought it was just us, but then chatting to other parents, I soon realised that no, it's very common that a lot of little kids just innately love gemstones and crystals. And
well, kids are so energetic, right? Up until the age of 7, I think they're in the aura of their parents, and they're just so sensitive, and it's just, life sort of gets in the way and sort of can squish it down. So
absolutely. And now you're talking my language, because I could see that. And when I took some time off work during COVID, like many people, we were all stuck at home, the Great Reset, I think they're calling it now, where everybody gets a moment to really sort of, delve a bit deeper. And my realization was how much I loved spending time with my children, playing with them, playing games, imaginary play. And I actually created a game called Find Your Treasure. And
no way.
yes.
No way.
And my children loved it. And at the end, the treasure is gemstones. And at that point in time, they wanted to know what they meant. And I told them their names. I told them they were sapphires and emeralds and rubies, and they were actually just little, they weren't real sapphires.
Yeah.
But my daughter in particular is definitely a little wise old sage, and she wanted to know, but really, what do they mean? And I think it just sparked this amazing little creative journey that I got to have of introspection and reflection. And I really wondered, I could see children are captivated by crystals and gemstones. And how can I use that to enlighten them in a way about something a little bit more and help them cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness. So when we were watching the events of COVID, like many people, it's a bit of shock and astounding that the world is in this chaotic state. And I really wanted to create a message to tell children that the world is not always going to be this way. And you have the power to create a better world, and you have the power to center and ground yourself in the midst of apparent chaos. And that idea of we have an inner compass, and to me, it's our inner treasure. So all those powers that we have, to me, lie in our soul. And that was the beginnings of the inspiration for my books, which is my soul treasure, is the children's picture book, which I have just here. And I've written a chapter book for sort of junior fiction, chapter book for children aged 7 up, called Find Your Treasure. Sorry, turn off the alarm to go get the kids from school. So that was
2 books.
2, yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
So this is my soul treasure, and Find Your Treasure is about to be coming out literally in the next couple of months. I've had the amazing opportunity to meet a very talented illustrator in Perth here called Alison Mutton, and she's literally just finishing the illustrations now for Find Your Treasure.
How fantastic. And so did you say that's for junior fiction as well? Same age group?
Yeah, it's basically the same story, the same premise. And Find Your Treasure is actually the story that I first wrote. And having not written a book before, it kind of surprised me that when I got to 5,000 words, people were telling me that this isn't a picture book. So I thought, well, maybe I can make a picture book, which is basically essence of the story, so that a younger audience can be, enjoy the story.
Engaging in it too, absolutely. Like, just you have covered me in goosebumps and so many things that you've been talking about here, because in this day and age, it's all about mindfulness and wellness and connection within yourself, and stepping up and building resilience and empowering yourself. What was I going to say? Come to me. It's one of these blonde moments. Anyway,
everything you're saying there is exactly how I felt, and I know what it was. I went to a bookstore and wanted to find the book that I could read to my children during COVID to reassure them and to give them that sense of self-empowerment and resilience, really cultivate that within. And the book wasn't there. It didn't exist. And then I quickly realized there is no book that I could find which told children, you have a soul and you are filled with power. And then I thought, maybe I could write that book. So
it's just, I can't tell you the goosebumps I'm getting all over me. So are you familiar with like indigo children and crystal kids and that sort of thing? So in this day and age, especially from the 2000s onwards, kids are very, very in tune and very sensitive. And so, they're emotionally, in some ways more resilient, but also very sensitive. And so there's an enormous calling, and this is the right time for it, because there's a searching for it. And I think, as you were mentioning before, COVID was a time of reset, review, and a lot of people are now really having a look at their life and making some serious choices. What do I want? Life's too short. This is a life about having an awesome one with lots of happiness and fun and joy, not one that's very average and it's just like burdened down. And so we want our kids to step into this awesomeness of life, connect with themselves so that it's not trying to, be caught up with other people's judgments and criticisms, but step up, pull up their own big girl undies and big boy undies and big boy socks and step into their own power, because themselves. That's look,
so true, Sally. And one of the inspirational moments for me during that COVID period was I watched the movie The Social Dilemma, and listening to the perceptions there where these are the powerful men who created these apps, calling for increased government regulation, which of course we need to live in an organized society. But to me, it was blatantly missing was, where is the need to re-educate or inform our children that your power comes from within? And if you have and can cultivate a very strong sense of self-awareness and know that you're filled with power, then you are less swayed by whether it's external criticism, which could be a Facebook comment, or it could be a world-scale pandemic, and you're not in so much of a need for external approval either. Yes. It's more balanced. So and it's not to say that you don't strive to achieve your goals, but you're more intrinsically motivated. You're not being told what to do or what is good to do. It's more for what is right for you and what is joyful for you to express yourself.
I just love it because, yes, that external validation, if they don't look for that and just the internal one within themselves, it's going to affect their self-love, self-worth, the stuff that's the core of us, right? So it's just, and that unconditional love for themselves and acceptance. It's all about the acceptance, having the awareness of themselves and having the tools and techniques and strategies to cope in life and manage themselves, right? So that they don't, I look at our generation and then I look at our parents' generation, like we're evolving. We really are. Mindfulness, wellness is sort of like people are searching for it now because stress, it's the number one thing affecting in the world, and burnout is an occupational syndrome listed with the World Health Organization. Like we are a 24/7 fast, crazy world. Social media, as you tapped on, and I firsthand through COVID in Melbourne, the flow-on effects with mental health with our young people, suicides, and I'm hearing my kids' friends, like appalling weight issues because people put on kgs, put a bit of COVID calories, and then it's just one comment. And I had a client's daughter and major eating disorder, and it's just frightening. But if they can find that power within, more resilient as well, be more comfortable in their own skin, and it's hard.
It's hard, and that's exactly right. And that to me is heartbreaking to hear. And that was, I think, brought up in The Social Dilemma as well. Those statistics of a very new young generation of suicide really deeply affected me. And I felt that was where, to me, it became like not a question of, can I write this book? It was, I need to write this book. And I felt that I had that message to show and to share. And in Find Your Treasure, I can't wait for you to read it.
I can't wait either.
In the story, in the fictional story, I address ways to handle those feelings, ways to handle those emotions, and then ultimately ways to really embrace that power within. And I feel that children are probably wiser than our generation, but like you said, they need to be able to be prepared with the tools they can then use and can keep in mind each day.
Absolutely. It's just, and now is the time. I mean, mental health, as we were just tapping into, but the median age of anxiety is 15. So, when we realize that, it really starts in primary school, the stress, the anxiety, and then you look at the parents and look at what they've had to go through and the trauma, PTSD for starters out of COVID. It's been challenging. It's time for this sort of stuff to fly, and it's time to speak about it and, take it out to the open because people are looking for this stuff. just finished some workshops, and I was introducing different things like chakras and linking in with the stones, and people are really ready for it. Like someone said 10 years ago, too woo-woo for me, but now it's normalized, right? And speaking about your emotions is normalized. And
yes, that's right. And I feel that, to me, that's been a fantastic progression. We've gone through, you know, the ability to, like, you know, consider our thoughts and how to, you know, let go of negative thoughts and embrace positive thoughts. And there's been a big, you know, fantastic sort of more resources on emotions. And to me, the next step is naturally to actually start talking about, I have a soul. And what is my soul? And it's full of power, and that is where I can reside. So your emotions, and I think that the children these days are very basically well versed in being able to communicate their different emotions. But to me, the natural question was, and then what? So it's one thing to help a child work through those negative emotions, which we all have because it's a part of being human. But to me, it's then the question of, and then what? Where do you reside? Like, where is the actual central source of power? And I think what I'm hoping, you know, children understand is it's your soul, and that's your sense of self. And if they can reside there, then that they will just be empowered to go and live the life that they want and to do what they want and find and do what makes them happy. And the concept of criticism and the actual emotional toll from criticism will become less severe because they'll have a stronger sense of
well, they have the tools, right, to deal with it. Absolutely. But, you know, you're totally talking my language, because, of course, my business is called Holistically Fit, because it's working on the mind, body, soul. And so I'm very much into the three-way connection, where the mind does the thinking, the heart does the feeling, and the gut does the sensing. And so when you're coming from your authentic self, which is your gut, following that instinct, that feeling, that niggle inside of you. And if we can, you know, empower kids to get that connection within themselves and make their decisions from their gut, you know, and then turn the ears off from the outside, you know, I mean, have that balance, right? So that their core center is from their gut, and it's not.
That's right. And come to a more place of neutrality when it comes to external, whether that's approval or criticism. You can still, you know, take on board other people's advice and comments, but really, like you said, then refer to yourself and to your soul and connect with yourself to say, what is right for me?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I just meant to ask, and so in the middle of all of this, from geologist to writer, author, there was a law degree thrown.
I know. I know. Well, that was one of my long passions, like, as well. I feel the inspiration to do law started very early as well. And I think that came from a desire for truth. What is the truth? And I probably didn't even realize that was driving me, and a sense of, you know, social justice. I've always, as a child and as a teenager, if you ask my parents, I was always one to be standing up for others, had a very strong sense of self. And after I finished my degree, I worked in a commercial setting where I incorporated both my geology and my law into the consultancy role that I was doing. It was very intellectually stimulating and fun, but at the same time, as a young mother, it was taking up a large portion of my week, and I was coming home to my young children and seeing that I was sacrificing time with them for the role that I was playing there. And it was very difficult to hang up my hat and hang up those little, you know, badges and the coats that I identified with in that role. But it's been the most fun and, you know, the most joyful journey that I've taken, you know, other than becoming a mother. This has been the most joyful journey, to be able to be creative and really let my creativity, you know, fly.
Fantastic. Can you hang on? So, Kate, I am really desperate to have a little squiz at your book, because this is just, as we just said, it's so timely. It's so needed now for our kids to get in touch with themselves. So let's see what the magic is.
This is my picture book. It's called My Soul Treasure. And this book is for children aged 3 upwards. So it's for a younger audience. And I really wanted to create something that a parent or a grandparent or a teacher could just pick up to be able to show their class or their, you know, their child or their grandchild that there's so much more to you than you can see in the mirror. And you have a soul. So if you don't mind, could I read you just a few?
100%. I'm hanging for it.
I would love that. So I'll just read it from the start and then I'll show you some of the pictures. I have a heart. I have a mind. I have a body. It's all mine. Do you think that's all there is to me? No way. I have a soul, the biggest part of me. It's my essence, my spirit, my spark, anchored deep inside, just near my heart. It seems invisible, but it sparkles and shines like gemstones and jewels of every kind. Rubies dazzle red. And then there's some beautiful text that you'll read. So from there, each of the pages goes through in the gorgeous colours. So we've got red, orange, yellow, green,
Yep.
blue.
All the chakra colours.
Yes.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Purple and white. And as you'll read, each of those beautiful colourful pages has a gemstone associated with that page and a quality, one of your soul's treasures, your soul strengths. It has a very gentle visualization exercise worked into the words and an affirmation in each page. And at the very end, it tells you, when you listen to your soul, you'll always know the best thing to do, the best way to go. Your soul shines bright with your treasure inside.
Oh, I just love it. I just love it. I just love it because kids love color. Like you said, they love the stones, the gems and everything. But energetically, there's so much more being delivered there, especially with the affirmations. Yes. Affirmations are so powerful.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for taking us through that.
That's okay.
Press this on. So I love that book. It's fantastic. Now, moving on back to some of my other questions. Kate, what do you think is your superpower or your magic? What is the things?
That's a good question. I think my superpower is that I can see everyone else's superpowers inside them. And to me, it's something that I've always been able to do. And even in a corporate setting, I can really see people's strengths, their capabilities, and it's very evident their passions and whether they're doing something that they love or that they're not. And I can see that amazing potential in my own children and just that incredible wealth of treasure that they have within themselves. So I really feel that that's my superpower, that I can just see that inside them.
And you sense it and you feel it. It's like not only just reading people, but it's really feeling that connection. And
yeah, definitely. And just that, we're all incredible human beings. We're all unique, every single person. And not one person, is living a life that is meant to be any less than phenomenal and at a full expression of everything they have that they've, brought here to share, all their gifts and their talents. So I just think I can see that potential in everyone, that they have a wealth, of treasure themselves. So, and if we're all living from that place of expressing our, our treasures and our talents, then I can only imagine what the world would be like if everybody was in that, in that state.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So just what would be my mantra this year is about letting go, stepping up and being more. And how do you feel you've done that so far in life?
Hugely. That I think that mantra, I didn't even know it, and I was living by it in the last couple of years. I had to be very, very brave in that I felt this inspiration to do something that was not anything that I really had thought I'd be doing one day. Letting go is huge, like in terms of letting go of perhaps the egoic identities that we layer upon ourselves, layer by layer by layer. And then when you start to really think, why did they could have been, from a a nice place originally, but then we do kind of burden ourselves with then having to stay a certain way or never be able to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the big things of being more, is allowing for me myself to be creative, to really have fun and explore a side of myself that had probably just been waiting, to have a moment to have fun and just be very creative.
Well, you're following your purpose, right? Because that's aligning your skill set with your passion, right? And and that brings you the joy and happiness on your journey through life. Absolutely, 110%. It's amazing. So coming back to, your clients now would be your kids, I suppose, the audience out there. What do you think is the biggest issue facing kids these days?
We were touching on it before, so exactly what you mentioned. The children coming through in this next generation and the generations beyond are very different from, who we are and the generations above us. And I feel that the biggest challenge they're facing is the world is ready to evolve and the world is changing, but it's not quite there yet. So, and because they're a lot more sensitive than in the past, but at the same time incredibly wise, incredibly creative, they need to be nurtured in a way that they can, know that it's safe to be able to be creative and be imaginative. And I feel that that's part of like my purpose or my mission, is that I really want to help children from a young age cultivate that very strong sense of self-worth and self-love, so that they carry that through. And the same way that we would have learnt, our ABCs and a 1, 2, 3 as a young age, they're learning, I have a soul and my soul is full of power. That's innate within them. And I can only imagine what they're going to step off from and be able to create. So from that sense of, self-knowledge.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic because, life as they're growing up, it's confusing, particularly when different messages and feeling stuff and it doesn't feel in alignment and, stepping up into their power. So then that leads on to, what's my next one? Oh, so what would be 3 top tips to help people, help kids, or perhaps help parents to help kids, particularly?
Yes, so my 3 top tips are, really, the first one is try meditation. I think that from a very young age, children are willing to learn that. I know with our little kids, they know what meditation is. They even do it at school, which is just wonderful. And I think trying that there's nothing wrong with it. You're allowing yourself a moment of peace and of quiet, and you're teaching them that it's actually valuable to have moments of stillness. Second top tip definitely is connect with nature. Get outside, spend time in nature. If you're ever feeling a little bit low or down or confused, the best thing to do is to get outside, go for a walk, really connect with nature, be amongst the trees, having fun. And then my third tip is definitely do what you love. So sometimes it might take a little bit of time to think about what is it that I love, and don't rule anything out, because sometimes we think, I love doing that, but I can't do that because I have an accounting degree, but really I do love cooking. So
well, you're an absolute perfect poster girl for this.
That's right.
Author from geologist.
So I think it's just, and that's part of, really just taking time like you've done. What do I love? And then follow that and allow yourself to follow it. I think sometimes we limit ourselves too much and say,
absolutely. Give yourself approval, right? It's okay. It's okay to be you and to feel that way and want to do that. Now, I know we've really got into this a bit, but really at the end of the day, what is the thing that drives you, that gets you going every day, that you're most passionate about?
It definitely is setting the world up to be a better world in generations to come, and that is what I'm definitely not one person to be watching the news and being a pessimist. I only see the good side of it, and I see a very beautiful, optimistic future for everyone. And my way that I can kind of help to bring that about is to instill this confidence in children, so that when they go out into that world, they have some little memory of a beautiful book they once read, or a chapter book, an exciting adventure story that they read, where you know, they learnt that they have a soul and that it's filled with treasure and filled with power. So
oh, it's just fantastic. I mean, you're a Pollyanna, you're not a Debbie Downer. So I mean, I might be too old for that one. You may not have heard of Pollyanna, but she was always finding something to be glad about. So yeah, I love it. Your energy, your spirit, everything is just beautiful. So that would probably be part of your legacy, I suppose. The legacy you'd like to leave on this planet, setting the world up to be a better place is
definitely. And yeah, allowing, you know, children to love gemstones and to, you know, have their fun expression and joy with gemstones in a way that they get to embrace. And that it's, you know, underlying that is just a nice deeper message that, you know, of how powerful they are, and that these gemstones are a tangible way that they can remember that about themselves.
Just absolutely love it. Just love it. I'm just Kate, just an amazing chat with you today. And I would it's blown my mind because it's just what you're doing is so important. I resonate with it all 110%. I've got 4 kids myself. You've got 2. And, you know, they're all born in this century, and they're just the energy of kids is just so different to when we grew up, I feel.
That's right.
How can people get in touch with you, and especially, you know, follow down the line and purchase My Soul Treasure or your upcoming book, Find My Treasure?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm at soultreasure_. So they could come and find me there and to follow me, and they can stay tuned then for the announcement of when my new book, Find Your Treasure, will be released soon. I'm very excited. At the moment, they can find My Soul Treasure on Booktopia, Book Depository, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on any online books seller all around the world. So, and yeah, if they stay tuned and follow me on Instagram, then they'll see that in the coming months, I'll also be launching my own website. So they can find that then.
Oh, it's just been such a delight to have a chat with you. It's just like a breath of fresh air because you're talking my language, and particularly for kids, we're all very passionate and heartfelt about all of that. So follow you on Insta, and also go on to Amazon, Booktopia, Book Depository, any of those places. Just search it up, My Soul Treasure with Kate Searle. Fantastic. So once again, thank you so much for being a guest on Magic Mike Moments. I've enjoyed every single bit of today. So thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, Sally. It's a real honour to meet you and to hear about your journey as well. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see you again shortly. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.